No more. You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. The most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey. The most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Yes. Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with Uncle Tommy, Professor Warshit, and you on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as you get in, don't forget, do your WZYE civic duty. Share the live, share the live. WZYE 95.9 FM on Facebook. Subscribe. WZYE TV and YouTube. And you can reach us here at 973-868-1444. That's 973-868-1444. And folks, we are going directly to the Stand Your Ground. What? Who was this first? UNC advocate? What? We Batman boy? Who's that? UNC advocate boy. All right, folks. Let's go straight to the Stand Your Ground conference here in Oro Poach with the Minister of Energy, Dr. Roodal Moonilal. Let's go there right now. Let's go straight there. We're not gonna waste any time. We're gonna fix up the chat as we go along, ladies and gentlemen.
It was that former police. But I'll tell you all one thing here, ladies and gentlemen. One of the issues, I attended another similar forum, and the volume of people who were asking, all you're bringing this bill, all you're giving me equipment to deal with it, meaning firearm. Very important. Very, very important. So I took the liberty to tell them, well, from all indications, the TTPS is working in tandem with the legislators of this bill. There's no point in giving people legislation that cannot be enforced. So it goes without saying that there has been a change in the TTPS, right? Firearm fuel applications are now being expedited and stuff. But the little part of his speech that I'm going to tease from him is this. As a former police, I know I was exposed to it, and I'm sure he was exposed to it because we're not far apart in the service. One of the things they taught you in the police service is this. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a very thin line between bravery and stupidity. I am saying to each and every one of you here, unless you have the capability of treating with alleged offenders coming into your property, don't be wild. I would not stand here and insult anybody and call you stupid. But there's a very thin line between bravery and stupidity. Unless you are capable of treating with that particular situation at hand, then you treat with it in a particular manner. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am well aware of the successes Mr. Alexander had in the police service. He would tell you that. He used to come up on the 6th floor, and he and I used to talk. He used to come up on the 6th floor in them days. I was based on the 6th floor, right, with Papa Gibbs. With Papa Gibbs. Yes, right. Mr. Alexander used to come up on the 6th floor, and we used to talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I can say, not just with certainty, but with definitive certainty, that Mr. Alexander was a successful police officer, and I can foresee that he's going to be a successful minister under this administration. Ladies and gentlemen, I now introduce to the mic Mr. Roger Alexander.
Good afternoon. Or is it evening? It is evening? Well, let us evening the place. Well, good evening then. This is, I'm here? All right. It is my pleasure to come here tonight or this evening and have this conversation with you alongside my colleague and your member of parliament, the Lion. And then when I look to my left, I see a senator, attorney at law, chairman of the, I hear no good, NGC. Yeah, the NGC who has been around since God was a boy. And he's still here, supporting us, Mr. Ramdin. And a young attorney came to my consultation a couple of weeks ago, and he was very impressive. And I will see him here tonight again, in Mr. Sarup. And now let me talk about my colleague and friend. Something is happening down in this end, or is it the Polori? He's not getting old at all. I don't know if it's the Polori or the Sahina or something is happening, but my colleague here is not getting old at all. I have known him for quite a while, and he hasn't changed one bit. Even his conversation hasn't changed. But when you are dedicated, you are dedicated. Nobody can change that. We are here tonight because our Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, SC, wanted to give every citizen, and underline the word every citizen, an opportunity to defend yourself. Our feet was not yet dry, and we were having this conversation on how to protect our citizens. You can believe that? So within the couple days of victory in the election, we already putting together what we can do to protect our citizens. Now, I came from one fold. I could speak to what I would have seen and why it is necessary now to have this legislation come before you, so you can put take away whatever you want to on that document to make it workable for all. I can tell you this, home invasion is not what you think it is. It's an organized crime. So somebody in this room, part of the village, give information to persons on the outside. Those persons on the outside come here, guided by the persons from the village. So they take a vehicle and they park it up by the police station to monitor. They have a next vehicle parked in a junction that they can observe from the different location. And they monitor it again. And they enter your home. And they know, you know why they take so long sometime in the home? Because they know that you are incapable of responding in a manner in which you're supposed to. It's simple, they have information. They know all who has guns and all who have none. It's organized crime. It's not what you think it is, just passing and jumping out of a car and running a man's house. No. They monitor and they are prepared. Some of us, our families, on many occasions, the ladies that is working in institutions, financial institutions, and they can give information to anybody that Senator Anna Roberts have $100 in his account. You see, and when they give this information, persons are ready because they're sure. So they come. Members of the public have to be smart. If you left home every day, with gold up to here, gold chain hanging down here, and every Monday morning you leave with a bag of money to go to the bank. Every Monday morning at 9. So you're telling everybody, I'm going to the bank, I'm going to the bank. All the people in the workplace, I'm going to the bank for 9, I'll be back. and you're giving away all that information, what do you think is going to happen? Let us wise up. So if you're left with the goal around your hands, and today you're home, where do you think the goal is? And this is what they look at, paying attention to your every move. I want members of the public to hear this, though. This is just a proposal for now, and do not start to activate as if it has become law just yet. And let me also say this. Yes, the law permits you to have some form of defense, whether it be a firearm or not, but don't wait on the firearm. I tell people, sharpen your mind, back and front. All right? Sharpen your minds, back and front. So when they come, you treat with them accordingly. Yeah? What the Prime Minister have done was to give back persons in Trinidad and Tobago their castle. So nobody can walk up on you and come in when they want and tell you, shut up and sit down and kick you in your head. In your own castle. Last time I read, a king is in charge of his castle, or the queen, or there's a king and a queen. And your children are the subjects. Defend yourself by any means necessary. But at the same time, use the law when it comes to guide you. All right? So we'll hear from our persons tonight, and let's see where we can take this from here. You know, I look forward to good conversations, and no question is a foolish one. I have one thing to address, though, and I probably will address it sometime during the program. There's a lot of persons meeting when asking me about Alexander, you know, it was said that if persons come into your yard and you're not sure if it's police and all of that, and the mango, so we'll address all of that tonight, probably before we leave, right? So again, we look forward to good conversations. And at the end of the day, when we leave here, everybody should be wiser. Everybody should be prepared. And let's take it to the next level. Protect yourself. Your life is all you have.
Thanks to you, Minister Alexander. Can I call on the driver of TCU 3263 to check your vehicle, please? TCU 3263. Having dealt with the vehicle and issues against, sir, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in this forum here, we wanted a mix. A mix. We had two former police and lawyer from South here. We wanted a lawyer from up north too. Them north people think a little differently. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gerald Ramdin is a name that is it's like Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. It's like Mahatma Gandhi, a name that is known by all. A name that is known by all, and I dare say for good reasons, ladies and gentlemen. I dare say for good reasons. Mr. Ramdin needs no big set of introduction. He is one of the more senior, successful attorneys within our jurisdiction. I now hand over the mic to Mr. Ramdin.
Good night, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here in the company of the Honorable MP for Oropuchis, the Minister for Homeland Security, Senator Roberts, members of the executive of the Oropuchis constituency, and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. when Dr. Moonilal asked me to be a part of his panel for this discussion on this particular piece of legislation, it was a privilege to be able to come to DB and speak to you all on what I consider to be one of the most evolutionary pieces of legislation that has been brought to our parliament. And there's a history as to how we've arrived at this point. And tonight I want to take a few minutes to just reflect on how we've reached here and why the Honorable Prime Minister, leading the government of Trinidad and Tobago, has brought this piece of legislation. We didn't arrive here overnight. In the last 9.5 years, we've had 5,000 murders in this country. And after 5,000 murders, the majority of which have been in homes, the then government didn't think. They didn't have the ability, they didn't care to bring a piece of legislation like this to protect the people of this country. In 2024, we had 2,399 robberies. We had 1,613 burglaries and break-ins, 112 larceny of dwelling houses, and 625 murders. And after 9.5 years, you couldn't care for the people of this country to be able to bring a piece of legislation that will give you, the citizens of this country, a chance against the criminal element. And I can't speak on this piece of legislation without giving you one particular story that strikes very deep. And it tells you the type of political leader and prime minister that we have. In 2017, and it's not very easy for me to give you this story. In 2017, there was a home invasion in Malabar. And Senator Roberts, you might remember this. This is close to where you once represented. There was a 12-year-old child called Videsh Suba and his caretaker. And there was a home invasion. And in the early hours of the morning, 2 home invaders came into that house and murdered that 12-year-old child. Murdered that 12-year-old child and his caretaker. And the honorable leader of the opposition and a number of her senators, she asked us to accompany her to the funeral of that child. And when we went to the funeral of that child, saw that child lying down, a 12-year-old child lying down in a coffin. And the curtain that they had on that child, you had to pull it up like this to cover the slit over his throat. And I saw the leader of the opposition, and now Prime Minister, wept, held that mother in her hand and wept for that child. And 1 year after, in 2018, on the anniversary of that child's death, I went to visit those parents after a year had passed. And I will never forget that the mother of that child, Miss Veena Suba, sat with me. And I'll never forget the words that she said. She said, Mr. Ramdin, when they killed my child, I was at work. And I knew the exact moment they killed my child. Because I felt a pain in my stomach. And I called my husband. And I told him, I said, something wrong with Videsh. And that remained with me. You know why it remained with me? Because when we were walking out of that funeral on that day, the then leader of the opposition and now Prime Minister, said, Gerald, one day we will stop this. And it took a caring Prime Minister, a Prime Minister who cares about all of the citizens. And you know why that struck out to me? Because everybody understood that for 9.5 years, you ever saw the former Prime Minister go to the funeral of a child?
Never.
Oh. The present Prime Minister left Philippines and found herself in Malabar. And that was not the only time, right? Many times, right? Because it takes a Prime Minister who cares for her citizens to be able to bring a piece of legislation like this. And today, when I read, Ganesh mentioned it, there's a law reform paper that was done on this bill before the bill found itself into the form that it is. And I want to pay tribute today to the Honorable Attorney General for leading the charge to bring this piece of legislation within less than 2 months of being in office. They said here, the PNM didn't do it for 10 years. It's not that they didn't do it for 10 years, you know. They didn't do it for 50 years. They were there, and they didn't do it. Crime didn't start today. 50 years they were there, and they didn't think that they should bring a piece of legislation to give the citizen the right to defend himself against people who come and break into your home. So, the master of ceremony said, and Minister Alexander said,
Raymond,
first time we are accustomed to budget consultations, but the type of leadership that we are accustomed to now under the Prime Minister led, the government led by Kamala Prasad Bisesa, is one where we interact with the citizen of the country. We give you a voice. The government is your voice to be able to give you a chance to comment on legislation such as this. And this is groundbreaking legislation. It is groundbreaking legislation because it finally gives the citizen the right to really have a chance to defend himself. And many people, Ganesh said it before, they're saying that the present law will allow you to have an adequate opportunity to defend yourself. That is not so. There is no offense that is on the law books that has been created by this bill. The offense of home invasion. And it's about time that we create an offense and we punish the people, the criminals who come into your home, right? Just like what they say, to murder, to rape, to rob. It is about time that we deal with these monsters the way in which they deserve to be dealt with. We have a new Commissioner of Police and we have a new Minister of Homeland Security. And in the 3 months that they've been there, they've demonstrated that they are prepared to take the decisions to protect the citizens of this country. They have used their power. Every day, you wake up and you look at the newspaper and you see there's a group of people that they've taken out of the prisons and put them in a real prison. You know why? Because they were living in a hotel before. And anytime that the authorities are prepared to treat a jail like a jail and put criminals in a real jail, you will see crime will stop. And again tonight, I want to pay tribute to Minister Alexander and the new Commissioner of Police. They have called a state of emergency and they have shown and demonstrated that they are prepared to use the power that is vested in their office to act on behalf of the citizens of this country. It is about time that we have a government that put the citizens first. And that is what this legislation does. It puts the citizens first. Where you kill in a home invasion, you'll suffer death.
boys came over.
And we need to enforce that.
While the man was talking, they were calling, I think.
Where you commit the offense of home invasion, 20 years. Aggravated circumstances, 25 years. And it's not part of this bill, Minister Alexander. But I hope someday soon we will see an amendment to the prison rules where a prisoner is really a prisoner and not 8 months. So when it's 20 years, you're doing 20 years. And when it's 25, you're doing 25. We've come to a time in this country after we've suffered the kind of criminality that we've seen for the last 9.5 years that we must get serious. And we've put serious people to do the people's business. And they have demonstrated that they are prepared to be serious with these criminals. The whole purpose of this bill is that we say retreat is gone. We must advance. We mustn't retreat. This bill, when you drill down into it, the provisions of the bill says, if they come with a pig foot and they start to break the door, you have the right to act. From the time I instrument into your house, you have the right to act. And I want to share the words of Minister Alexander, the Homeland Security Minister. We are giving you the protection to protect your home, your family, and your property. And with that protection comes a certain amount of responsibility in exercising that power. This is not a free-for-all. The government has given you a weapon, but when you get a weapon in your hand, you must act responsibly in using that weapon. I just want to refer to one aspect before. This bill not only gives you the right to protect yourself, it gives you the right to protect an immediate family member and your property. And before I sit, I want to tell you how far the reach of this legislation is, because it defines an immediate family member as a parent, a step-parent, a guardian, a spouse, a cohabitant, a fiancé, your child, your stepchild, your dependent, your brother, sister, half-brother, half-sister, step-brother, step-sister, grandparent, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, aunt, uncle, uncle-in-law, aunt-in-law, nephew, niece, cousin, and any other person who ordinarily or periodically resides in the same dwelling house as the occupant. The whole tree, the whole tree. The only thing they miss out is Nani and Nana. So the position is this. I can sit here, I've been a senator, I've been part of the lawmaking process in parliament in this country and tell you, just like the master of ceremony just said, no piece of legislation is perfect, but it's a perfect start to give you the protection that not you're begging for it, that you are entitled to. It is your right. Correct. The Honorable Prime Minister has always told us, she said there are two things that a government must do. They must provide and they must protect. And I hope that after these consultations, the same swiftness that this bill has been drafted with is the same swiftness that it will pass through the Parliament. And anytime that the opposition tells you that this is not in your interest and start to raise opposition to this bill, just remember, that is an opposition that doesn't care about the people of this country, about your children, about your family, and they have demonstrated over the last 50 years that they are not about providing or protecting. They are about themselves. Correct. We are about the citizens, and led by this Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and her government and her cabinet, we will demonstrate to you we are prepared to protect you, to provide for you, and to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago returns to the paradise that we know it can be. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the executive of the Oropouche East would tell you all, when this individual stands here and makes a comment, and I say support this bill, I don't do so because I want to come to the flams. I come here documentary evidence. The learned counsel spoke about the policy paper, and I touched him and said, sir, I have it here if you need it. I want to read something for you. Mr. The learned counsel here spoke about the castle doctrine. And let me read it for you. It is very important. I've taken 2 minutes of your time, Doc. The castle doctrine, and I want to let you listen to this. And this is the policy paper that was drafted before they came to drafting the bill. For those of you who do not know, the minister or the attorney general or whoever is taking this bill, wants to take this bill to parliament, he or she has to do a policy paper saying why we want this legislation, why we want it. He will take it to cabinet, and from there, from cabinet procedurally, it would go to the lower house and the upper house and things like that. So this is the first step. This was the first step. This policy paper that was drafted by the Law Reform Commission in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General. And I join Mr. Ramdin in congratulating the Attorney General and the Prime Minister for this policy paper. And I just want to read this very quickly for you. The castle doctrine has its origin since the 17th century English common law. How long ago? The 17th century. And we have all kind of top-notch people in the PLM who talking about making coal pot, going back to coal pot and this and that and the next. Yes. Well, I stand corrected, Senator. Yes. As stated in the Siemens case, which is dated back to 1604. 1604, a man was permitted to use lethal force if attacked in his home on the premise that, and I quote from the judgment, the house of everyone is his castle. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear you say, my house is my castle. Although the life of a man is a thing precious and favored in law, if thieves come to a man's house to rob him or murder the owner or his servants, kill any of the thieves in defense of himself of this house, it is not a felony. And this is where this bill, ladies and gentlemen, emanated from. And my big unanswered question is, the PNM has been in power for how long? Home invasions have been ongoing. Home invasions have been ongoing. I joined Mr. Ramdin in his aspect of the jail term, but I want to join in one more thing, and whoever making notes, Dr. Moonilal, the Honorable Minister, I would want to see that the Bail Act is amended as it relates to offenses committed under this legislation. I would want to see that the Bail Act is amended as it relates to offenses committed under this legislation. And I want to take it a bit further. This thing, I know where my pay grade lies there. I don't go above it. But this thing about that came about a year back, Mr. Minister. I'm so accustomed to saying that, sec, where bail is being granted for any type of offense. Only bail with a surety. Only bail with a surety. Prior to that, there used to be bail with registrar's approval. You understand? Where you had to go and get a clean deed. You had to get a valuation. You had to get a utility bill and things. Now it's only bail with a surety. And the justification is, well, why are you sending plenty of people in the jail for? So you remedy the overcrowding in the jail, by giving man easy bail out here. So I would want to see certain bail restrictions, particular bail restrictions as it relates to offenses under this legislation. Ladies and gentlemen, Okay, good. He's tired. He just come from the same thing. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Allahar, really hate to do you this. I understand you just come from a similar forum. But yes, the senator said he's very bright. He's accustomed thinking on his legs. He sat as a registrar. He has been involved in several other cases. He has held several high offices. He's presently in the office of the Prime Minister. I now introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Attorney at Law, Mr. Daryl Allahar, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable ministers, honorable senator, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. First of all, I am very, very sorry for arriving late. On the way here, the Honorable Prime Minister called me and she said, well, where are you tonight? Because last night I was in Labre with the consultation. So I told her I had to do the 2 oral pooches. And I've been told that they were 10 minutes away from each other. But so she laughed and she said, well, don't be late then. So I was here early. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I know that my learned friend, Mr. Sarup, may have spoken to you already. I want to do a different perspective so that we will all understand. So when we have a discussion, we'll have an informed discussion. When we campaigned in the elections, we had made a number of promises. And I'm pleased to inform you that all of those promises and all of the little manifestos, you know the manifestos, the little pamphlet, they're now put together in a manifesto, which I'm sure your MP will have available for you soon. And I'm pleased to announce 2 weeks ago that the Cabinet took a decision that this manifesto is now official government policy. And we've done that so that we can account to you and you can now tick off things that we have done. And when you go through this book, you realize that we have started 90 days in the job. We've actually done quite a lot. Yes? Two of the things that we have done, or we are going to do, and I'm reading from here, pass stand your ground laws and create the offense of home invasions. That was part of our promises. And the legislative package that you have, which we want to speak to you and have a conversation on tonight, is on this stand your ground proposed law. It's not a bill before the Parliament as yet. It is what we call a paper for us to get some discussion. And hopefully by the time we get to the Parliament, we'll have some consensus and get the best ideas from all of you as to the foundation that we have inside of here. One of the things, and I'm coming in a different angle, one of the things, there are a few concepts that I want to put on the table so that we will all understand it when we start to talk to each other. And one of the concepts I wanted to put on the table is that this package of law is not a license to kill. Yes, not a license to kill. Because it is not an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, because we'll quickly descend into the law of the jungle. Some commentator on the papers said that we want to open up the law of the jungle with what we are doing here. But if you really think about it, the law of the jungle is what we are living in now. Correct. And we are trying to contain the jungle by giving you the ability in law to protect yourselves and your family. So we have a few detractors, but we don't want to give the detractors any ammunition to detract from the conversation. They have certain elements who don't want this thing to change. Okay? The other concept I want to give you, so you bear it in mind tonight, is that this discussion is not about firearms. We're not talking about, related to firearms or anything that we may want to do in the future about access to firearms. This stands by itself because not everybody has a firearm. Yes, not everybody could use a firearm, not everybody wants a firearm, and that's not the policy to give every single person a firearm. Okay. This has nothing to do with firearms because when somebody come in your house, you have to defend yourself. Okay. So that's the second one. The third thing that you'll bear in mind is that I think Ganesh may have mentioned it, but it's important for us is that we have promised to make the offense of home invasion a special defense with very heavy penalties. And what this bill has done is it provides for two new offenses. An offense of home invasion, which we hope will attract $500,000 fine and imprisonment for 20 years, and an aggravated home invasion offense, where when the invasion takes place if it takes place by a gang member, or in the presence of a child, or the presence of an elderly person, or a differently able person, or a vulnerable person, it's aggravated home invasion, and that will be a larger penalty, $750,000, excuse me, and imprisonment for 25 years. So they're very, very heavy penalties. And what we want to do is we want to bring these offenses up on par and even exceed the offenses for drug-related offenses and gun-related offenses. That's how serious we are in deterring these crimes. So we think it's a step in the right direction. The other thing is to remember, and Ganesh would have mentioned it, is that what we want to do is give you a defense in law. Okay? A defense in law so that all players in the criminal justice system will know what the defense is, and you will know what the defense is, and it will be no longer the common law rule of reasonable force in the circumstances. If I ask you what is reasonable force in the circumstances, you can't give me a clear answer because 5 of you will give me 5 different answers. But if I spell out the criterion for you, it makes it certain for everybody in the system, because right now, it would depend on, first of all, the police. The police will take your statement because you wound somebody you found inside your house. The police will take a statement and decide to charge you. Because the police might think it's not reasonable in the circumstances because they have no criterion. And then police charge you, you're on bail, you're there for years, it goes to the DPP who has to lay an indictment, and he could take a little while, and what he's looking at it, and he will say, well, you know what, let me leave it to the jury. And then they go before 9 people in the jury, and 9 people here and 9 people here may have different views as to what is reasonable in the circumstances. Yes? And the judge may make a mistake. And the judge may, when he's summing up and telling the jury what the law is, because it's what they call the common law, he may leave out something and then he'll go to a retrial, or he may direct them badly and you going down. And this after you spend 8 or 9 years in the system. So what we are doing here is we are clarifying what the defenses are. Yes? Okay, you've been in the court system. I work with you in the court system, so you know how long a jury trial takes. Right? And you know the face of a person who is acquitted after 20 years in the system because he was innocent all along. Right? So that's what we want to do. One of the other aspects of what we'd like to do as well is we want to clarify the use of lethal force. Lethal meaning to kill. And I think Ganesh would have mentioned, you mentioned lethal force to you tonight. So we are clarifying the instances where you can use lethal force if you reasonably believe there's an imminent threat to you. Imminent meaning an immediate threat to you, and you have a bona fide, honest belief that you are going to be killed, or somebody else in the home is going to be killed, or somebody is going to be sexually assaulted or raped, or something like that is going to happen. You can use lethal force. Again, it is not to open the floodgates for you to kill anybody that comes in your yard. Not to kill the lady who come to sell you magazines, but the man who come to sell you mangoes. Yes, because the law has safeguards. The law also has safeguards as well for law enforcement officers who you identify as law enforcement officers. We know some law enforcement officers don't like to be identified, but they're gonna get catch with this, so you have to identify, right? Because what you coming inside my premises at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if you're police or thief. That's why they have their badge. And that's standard procedure. Okay? So they do it at their own peril. And all of this to give you the courage and the backbone so that if you take a decision to protect your life, your family's life, your sons, your daughters, your parents, or protect your property, and you do something in good faith, and you maim, you injure, or you kill, you will have a defense in law which you can understand and everybody could understand. Yes? It's up to you to make the decision. You can't go when the thief come in the house and say, well, this is my protection. We cannot take a work. You have to make the decision. But if you make the decision, we want the law to protect you. Because there comes a time in the life of every country where we have to balance rights. And it's permissible. We do it all the time in the parliament. And for years, we've been saying that criminals have more rights than people. And what this government is doing is we are the first government that is strong enough to look at our law and say, listen, it's time to balance the scale, rebalance the scales and bring it down in favor of the ordinary person who is protecting your home. Your home is your castle. Yes? It will not be an easy road because we have to get a 2/3 majority in both houses of parliament. And as my friend Senator Roberts will tell you, in the Senate, we have to get that 2/3 majority as well, which is why we've come to you, so that you can tell us, one, if you like the direction we're going, two, how you think we can make it better. Yes? And three, at the end of the day, support us in public. Because we are doing this for you. We are taking the fight to the parliament, but you have to help us outside. Okay? You have to help us to help you. Whether you write letters to the editor, whether your social media, whether you make positive affirmations. You have to be proud to be UNC and proud of your government. Yes? You can't hide anymore. You can't hide anymore. You have a government to be proud of us. We are proud of you. You have to be proud of us. We are proud of all of you here tonight who we'll have a conversation with. Okay? So I want to leave those things with you. And there's one more point that I wanted to tell you, and that is to assure you that these provisions, these proposals, it's not WZYE. Anil didn't get up one night and write this and say, this looking good. AG, take this. The Honorable Prime Minister, when we got into office, one of the first things she did was she told the Honorable Attorney General, could you get your Law Revision Commission, those technocrats in his department, to do a paper to look at the laws around the world and get the best aspects of these laws and put it into these laws. So what we have done is we have taken from Canada, we have taken from Ireland, yes? And we have taken from the United Kingdom, of all places, because they have gone beyond the common law now, you know. They have home invasions too. Don't feel they don't have it. Don't feel Canada don't have it because they don't hear about Canada in the news. They have walked this road before. Ireland has walked the road before. And we have taken the best pieces of what they have done and we have put it into this package. So don't let anybody tell you that we're making things up as we go along. We have tried and tested provisions in other countries and we put the best for you here. And we need your support, we need your input, and we want your endorsement. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Allahar. I endorse what the senator said. You didn't need a warm-up. You did exceptionally well. Give us another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, in support of what Mr. Allahar has said, that paper he spoke about, it is clearly reflected that England and Wales, they looked at legislation from England and Wales. They looked at legislation from Ireland. They looked at legislation from Canada. They even went to Australia as well. So when I introduced this document this afternoon and said, this government is not a dictatorial government like the past. They throw legislation at you and say, if it tell, take that. It is the total opposite, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to get your views. I started, my starting point was, this isn't cast in stone. And to repeat what I said, it may not be perfect at this stage, but it is indeed a perfect start. It is indeed a perfect start. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, there is this moment. You know, the lion growling all the time and all of them talking there. And yes. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I know nobody, no one here needs any formal introduction of Dr. the Honorable Roodal Moonilal, the lion, the roaring lion. I now invite him to the mic, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Govind Hari
You're
Prasad, a
listening
very
to
prominent
WZYE
attorney at law, former police officer,
You are listening to
illustrious member of the Oropuchi
the most
constituency.
influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area.
May I begin by
Broadcasting from East Orange,
acknowledging
New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
welcome my cabinet colleague and parliamentary colleague, the very honorable Mr. Roger Alexander, Minister of Homeland Security. We are happy to receive as well Senator the Honorable Daryl Allahar, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister and the leader of our bench in the Senate. We have in our midst as well very prominent attorney at law, former senator, and now chairman of our flagship state enterprise, National Gas Company, Mr. Gerald Ramdin. And a distinguished young brother of ours who has been very close to me as my own attorney at law, Mr. Ganesh Sarup. And I want to thank him for coming on short notice because he's deputizing ably for Mr. Anand Ramlogan, who committed to be here and had an emergency and could not join us. But Anand did a very good recommendation, so we are happy to welcome you here. In our midst, we have chairman, councillors, chairman of various state enterprises. Councillors are here joining us as well, Mr. Gautam Maharaj and others. When I came in the room and I saw so many people, I first have to apologize that at this time, we can only offer standing room. I see a lot of people in a small corridor at the back, and we are very sorry that even in the main hall, I think the standing room is now limited. But I was very happy to have so many businessmen here. I quickly asked the chairman of the constituency if we could use this as a fundraiser as well, you know. We don't get all these businessmen at the same spot. So we are happy, but of course, the topic of interest today is one that the business community as well would have a big a say on these matters that are before us today. We have several attorneys at law with us, more than capable of articulating on these matters. So in the brief time I have here, I want to thank as well not only you for coming, but I understand now we have over 1,200 viewers for our discussion tonight. So we want to welcome them. special viewers from Canada, I believe, are also with us. We want to thank you for joining us this evening. We expect a very good discussion. The purpose of this meeting, as articulated by the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, is that we will have 1 or 2 or 3 presenters that will speak very briefly, as all did tonight, and we will open the floor to hear from you, members of the community, the business community, citizens, ordinary persons in our neighborhood, to speak on these matters of stand your ground, of defending yourself, of crime in the area. I know several of you would have to speak tonight. It's sad, of course, to say that in our midst as well, we also have victims of home invasion who are here. And I want to thank you all for the courage that you would have to come here and speak as well, being victims yourself. I just want to make a couple points before we go to the real, meat of the matter, to let you know that I received a document, I think earlier today or yesterday. It's really a document from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the legal unit. There's a legal unit there. It is dated the 12th November 2024. In fact, the gentleman who sent me this letter is also in our audience, and I thank him. He knows himself. It's a request for access to official documents via what is called the Freedom of Information application process, which is well-established law in this country. And the applicant is asking for data from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as to the number of home invasions reported to the police throughout all divisions for various years, including 2024, 23, and so on. He is asking for other matters that are not before us tonight necessarily, but I wanted to focus on the home invasion matter. And the police, in their response from the legal officer, dated November last year, says data on home invasion 2020 to 24, we have the data. Remarkably, in 2024, the police is saying, as an official document, we have had 500 home invasions in 2024. Whatever they define as that, they say they have had that. That's 500 home invasion. Reported. Thank you, Councillor Dupre. So 500 home invasions, that is more than 1 home invasion per day reported. All right? That means every single day that we live, a family in this country has suffered this heinous crime. They did nothing for 10 years, 9.5 years. They did nothing. Today is our 94th day in office as a cabinet, as a government. Today, 94. In less than 3 months, because this is on the table way before, we have produced the draft legislation, the draft policy, and articulating it to the public. That was a fundamental promise of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And in less than 3 months, we're able to come to the people, share our ideas, policy, and law, and ask you for yours. And ask you, what do you feel? What do you think? What is your view? How can this be better? Maybe you may want to subtract, I don't know. But we are all, as the earlier speaker said, either victims or we are known to victims in this island. And we cannot allow something like this to continue. As Minister Alexander indicated, we grew up when we were small growing up. Mommy and Papi tell us, come home before 6, before it get dark. Otherwise, a big broad belt come out from somewhere. And particularly the girl children. I mean, there is a next story. But come home before 6. You know why? Because the home is the castle. You are safe at home. Our parents believe that if you home before it get dark, you're safe. Nothing can trouble you. So in fact, they sleep better when you are home. They sleep actually when you are home. If you're out, your parents can't sleep. And it's very instructive that we grew up with this knowledge that you must come home early. And then we presided over a period in our history, 2015, 2025, when to be home is unsafe. When to be in your own house is unsafe. So you can't say, whether you're home or you're not safe. You are exposed to these criminal elements. And we live in a society now, we have been there 94 days as a government, that is. Next week will be 100, and I could remind you in case I forget later. On next week, Monday, Charmaine, we are having our Monday night report at the constituency office of Couva South. Minister Barry Padarat will welcome and host us to our Monday night report, where we will report on our first 100 days in office. The last government, after 100 days, them fetting in Tobago. They say, well, 100 days, time to fet. We need to enjoy. We need a beverage, is 100 days. Today, we are saying we will be in this holiday period, because this is generally a holiday period as well. We will be reporting to the people in 100 days. And the Prime Minister, Mrs. Prasad-Bisesa, has asked all the ministers, please, I need to see your achievements. I need to know what you have been doing. You can't come there and say you're playing the fool, you're skylarking here and gallerying yourself. You need to have your achievement, what you have done. It's very important for the culture of governance that Mrs. Prasad-Bisesa has directed. And this matter before us is critical as a promise, as a commitment made by Mrs. Prasad-Bisesa for her second term of government. And we cannot, as she said before, we cannot allow this to continue. We're in a stage now when you are home, if a mango drop on the galvanized, you jump. Correct? That's correct? Sonilal? If our next household member slam down the toilet seat, you jump up too. You want to know what is that? Bang! This is the fear we live with every single day. You don't matter if all the doors close. Man, if the alarm on, even that don't give you peace of mind these days. You're watching camera on, all the camera on, the alarm on, and you're still not comfortable. What is it? So we have to do something. As Minister Allahar told you before, this is not license to kill business and thing, This is to protect you when you defend yourself and your family and your property. We protect you. And Minister Roberts, who is here, I want to acknowledge Senator Anel Roberts, who has led a brave struggle for the last 10 years and more in fighting the PNM. He's here with us tonight. And he fought them. There were many times he invited me to Douglas politics and thing on a Saturday evening of all time. And I said, my brother, but were you doing Saturday evening? He said, no, we have to tape. We're going live. You remember? In COVID, we put on clothes and thing and gone in the backyard to do a report with him because he was fighting. And he reminded me today about this type of business. And he said, this cannot be allowed to continue when no one is safe. In our area, our Puchis, you all know, when Ganesh Utsav, Shivratri and thing come, as it will come just now too, when they come, all your mother, your father, the brother, sister, you're walking on the road, you're going to the mandir, man, you could continue singing till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, and you're going home. You're walking happily with parsad in your hand. Today, you're not going to the temple, you say, we go watch Murti home and pray. You don't want to carry your children so that 9, 10 in the night you're driving home and thing, That is where we have reached, where even our religious practices, you curtailed because of the criminal elements. And as Anil Robert said, I remember, he said, they are coward. They feel they're brave because you're weak. The criminal elements think that they're brave because they believe you are weak. What we are doing is now moving the, let's call that in physics something, by the balance. There are big words to describe that thing, but we are moving the balance in favor of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Telling the criminals, you are no longer in charge here. You are no longer in charge here. I don't want to get more controversial than other people because, this is not my core business now. I'm into the oil and gas business and thing. So, I tell Minister Alexander once, I said, you ever hear in Texas a man rob a bar? You ever hear in Dallas and Houston and these places, robbery last night, 2 men who held up a bar. If they held up a bar, the body is painted on the wall still. They don't do that. Because they have balanced their law so the citizens can take action. That is what we are trying to do as well within the law and within the creation of new law. That is what we are about tonight. And I wanted to leave you with one thing, because tonight is to hear you and hear questions and so on and comment. Now I, of course, as everybody know, I'm very knowledgeable on many things, but maybe not this thing. But interestingly, and I want to put on the table Senator Allahar and Mr. Ramdin and Mr. Alexander and Mr. Sarup and thing. A friend of mine sent me a note. He said, hi, I personally have a question if you may answer. It's the first question for the night. It's an interesting question, huh? Does the Stand Your Ground legislation cover the actions of my dangerous dogs? Meaning, if someone comes into my well-secured yard, breaks into my house, and the dangerous dog bites and kills the intruder, would it be covered under the legislation, or would I be charged? I thought it was an interesting perspective. I mean, the learned attorneys with us will analyze and answer, and if we can't answer in one resolution, I'm sure we will give thought, because it's interesting, because we are talking about all the weapons you would have, whether it's the cutlass, the baton, the bilna, whatever you may have, but you may also have the fella, and they have a fella with a dog in this area. The name of the dog, Mr. Alexander, is Jesus. And when he come in, when the intruder come, he said, Jesus will deal with you. So brothers and sisters, we will get the answer. We will get the answers to these matters. We'll get the answers to these matters as we go along. I want to thank all of you for coming out. Look forward. I have Mr. Gibbs is telling me that we have some other questions that we'll have to deal with tonight. We are locked on tonight. And we are now up to a beautiful. We are up to 1,700 viewers and listeners live for us tonight. We would like the viewers, listeners, there is a method here on that system to send in questions as well. And we will ask Charmaine and the staff, Nicholas and others, to monitor those questions so that this high-powered panel could respond in good time to the questions before us. Thank you all very much, and I look forward to the interaction.
Thank you, Dr. Moonilal. Let us get another round of applause for Dr. Moonilal, please. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are not to be any disappointments here tonight. I opened this program clearly indicating that this program is geared towards getting feedback from you all. So we are not going to disappoint anyone and say, well, you can ask questions tonight. But taking into consideration the number of persons here tonight, taking into consideration tomorrow is a working day, taking into consideration all the ministers have to report to the Honorable Leader, I presume early in the morning. I am told that be it your comments or alternatively your questions, if you all have no objections, we are looking at a 2-minute period per person. Are we okay with that, ladies and gentlemen? Beautiful. So, right. They had the first question. Minister Alexander, are you minded, sir?
Let me answer that question early. And I like to put things into context. So you have a home, and you have a security guard at your home. Yeah? Somebody invades. What do you expect him to do? Stand his ground. Replace it with a dog. It means the same thing. Your dog, the dog is your first line of defense. Yeah? I had a friend who had some geese and they were as bad as dogs, it amounts to the same thing. Once you have that first line of defense, and it could handle the stories, then you don't need to go further. The dog is your first line of defense in protection of yourself, your castle, your family.
If the intruders poison my dogs, is there a penalty for that in the legislation? If the intruders, as you know, or could we consider adding that, because we would know, as you, Minister, you said, the case here, they watch what's going on, they see you had 2 bad dogs that you let out at 6:30 p.m. If they bring meat with poison in it to kill or to harm my dogs, could that be added to the legislation?
Very good point. And you know that's the intention, because they'll come to poison the dog to return. Because your first line of defense is gone. So that's something we could take into consideration. You see, and this is what we're asking for. Let us think outside the box. Not already what is inside the box, what is outside the box, yeah? So good question, Senator.
So, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, rather than taking individual questions, it is our desire, if you all have no objections, we will take like about 5 questions, right? And then answer each one. Right, so who goes first?
Hi, good night, everyone, members of the table. I was just concerned earlier if the neighbor could assist in protection. I think that was cleared up in clause 9. Clause 9 of the bill, I think that was cleared up. Thank you, sir. Concerning the fines, I find it is too less, because there are people who are taking mail for $750,000. We have to hit it hard where they feel it. These fines are too less now in this time and age. And coming to the years, as in other scenarios, in other parts of law, like 10 years, 15 years, I feel it is too less in the times we are living. It should be increased. No parole. We have to get serious with these things now. Also, you'll find that people who are 20 years, 30 years behind bars, 10 years down the road, president come and give you a pardon. You're out in the road. We have to look at these things. I just have one scenario, Minister. I'm in my home. A guy or 2 guys comes into my home. No, most of the place is not fenced. I am at home. I may not have my revolver in my hand. At what point do I draw my revolver to protect myself? You have 2 guys come in. Hey, good night, good evening, sir. Where Harry Avenue is? No weapon, exposed, nothing like that. When am I to use my weapon in case that intruder draws there? I wouldn't have time to respond. So if I come into Mr. Alexander Yard, so yeah, you have time to respond? No. I could be wrong and stand corrected in some states in America. You come in front of my gate, I draw my service revolver according to law. Good evening, sir. Good night, sir. Who are you? What do you want in my place? What do you identify yourself? Don't come into my yard, because when you come into my yard, you are coming to attack, to kill me. That is the mentality. I need that safeguard that when you are at my entrance, I pull my revolver, identify yourself, sir. Who are you, what you are before you come in? Because I could be attacked unknowingly or my family, and that's the end of that. Thank you, sir. Oh, Sonilal Kanai or Pochis.
Good afternoon. Daryl Ramdin. Hypothetical situation. I have a chain link fence, house well secured, gates are locked. Someone comes into my property. I use lethal force against them. My question here is to the Honorable Minister. When the investigation gets started, will there be a consideration for a timeline to have it completed? Because time and time again, we know that very simple firearm-related charges drag on in some instances for 10 years. And my question would be, am I, again hypothetically, supposed to sit there and wait for 10 years until a judgment is passed and my firearm is returned? Now, why I'm saying that is that for the firearm owners, ballistic tests have already been completed. If someone admits to using lethal force against an intruder, it should be very simple to take your firearm either voluntarily or through the TTPS, take it to the forensic sciences lab and confirm that that is the firearm that was used in the activity. But these things tend to drag on unnecessarily, for whatever the reason, for very extended periods. And like I said, will there be any provisions to have the investigation completed? Now, that's my question there. But while I'm saying this, I just want to share something with the minister. Just to digress a little bit, and it shows how a very simple thing locked up in bureaucracy could take very long. I am familiar with two individuals whose pictures on their FUL have started defacing. They have taken those documentation that is required for a duplicate book to the relevant TTPS division for more than 3 months now. Pictures, utility bills, copies of your FUL, all of those things. And 3 months later, something so simple cannot be completed. Now, if something so simple in my mind can get completed with the individual providing all the documentation, what consolation can I look forward to tell me that if I defend my home with a firearm, that I don't have to sit down there and wait unnecessarily for 10 years to have it completed? Thank you.
Good night. My name is Gerald Ramdin. I am from Oropuchis, Cochawan Trace. I born and grew up. Mr. Minister, it's a great pleasure having you in our area to hear our voice, and we need someone to take a step on what we have to say on this. I know you say everybody have to have dogs to protect themselves. We in Cochawan, Ramsamo, Chester, surrounding areas, we don't have dogs because we have family, children, everybody. It's an open floor. We protect ourselves by paying a private security, going house to house in Cochawan Trace, Ramsamo Trace, Chester Street, Somai Trace, and surrounding areas to ask for $100 per house to protect ourselves from 10 to 5. 10 in the night, 5 in the morning. We used to have community patrol. We have no more. We organize a group where we have to collect money from certain people every month. We have to collect a fee to pay a private security to protect our family. It really getting unfair. A lot of people from Cochawan, Ramsamo, Chester, Somai Trace used to work URP, CPEP, Ministry of Works. They out a job. When I go to ask for money right now from a person for $100 from a person, a single parent, oh, we have to buy school book, how are we going to protect? Now, this is a crisis that we're facing in Cochawan and Chester and Somai, and I representing the people here today because first time we're getting a minister in front of us to take our words that what's happening in our street. Now, you mightn't find we street popular because we have no crime. We have no papers making because we're paying for the past year and a half for security to protect us. And now it's getting a little difficult for payments, and we have the security. We have patrols. Police patrol, community patrols should have come back to our system now. So take off the burden from the chest from all the people were paying this money for private security. And then another point, sorry for keeping so long, but I really have this in my chest. Mr. Minister, I want to tell you, you know when the police come out here in Debe, they don't pass in Kuchawa and Ramsamo, Chestad, so they don't pass. You know where does this come out? This come out 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock. You know what they're coming out for? To get an award, 400 tickets. They give in they get it in right here. David, Kuchawan, so much is right here. We all people, we commented, they can walk, they bring the grandchild to school. We don't have no car park for David Hindu school. We don't have none for Parvati school. When they come and pull aside, you know what they do? Come. The man can come out of the car. Come, bring a license, bring a and take it. That's what they do it. That's them work. That's what the police are them doing in the day. They hiding, and at 8 o'clock, they pack up shop and they gone. They make a certain amount and they go on their way. Well, Minister, sorry for keeping so long, but that is my point.
All right, good night, everybody. All protocols observed. I am Kiran Ragber, former youth parliamentarian and currently an employee in Dr. Moonilal's office. So, as of tonight, I have one question that's just been on my mind about this stand your ground legislation. And according to a Newsday article in 2021, reports surfaced of a firearm user license racket within the TTPS. The allegations included firearm user license being issued to persons with criminal records, bribes, and political connections. However, furthermore, in 2023, again, according to a Newsday article, an audit in the firearm department revealed significant irregularities in hundreds of firearm user license approvals. Some firearms were even issued to persons without sufficient justification or who failed the vetting criteria. So my question to the distinguished table tonight would be, what would be the government policy on ensuring that the most qualified and responsible person receive a firearm user license, and what is the process to eliminate bribery and eliminate all this that previously happened? Thank you.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, Dr. Roodal Moonilal, MP for Ropuchis and St. Madeleine East, San Fernando. Honorable Sergeant Inspector Superintendent Roger Alexander, Minister of Homeland Security, councillors. My question is a simple one. It's a very hypothetical question, but it has happened many times. I am the user of a firearm. I have a firearms user's license. I live in Valsayn. My son went out the night. And brought in his friend with him and decided to stay over after having a couple of drinks. He's not familiar with my house, and at some point in time, he got up to go to the bathroom and knock on the wrong door, which is my daughter's door. I come out, see a man in my house, and I light him up. Because Honorable Homeland Minister said, if you're coming to my house according to the Bible, something like that, you're like a thief, you come to thief, plunder, and to kill. He have often said that many times. So I light him up. I want to know, how does the legislation look at that scenario? Because after investigating, I will then find out that's the wrong man I shot. So that's one. The other one is that I remember some years ago in New York, there was a situation where young guys was used by the gangs to kill people. And the government, the state had to take some legislation and change the age from 12 years. At 12 years, you will be treated as an adult. But the reporter asked a young man who took a boombox, those days they were boombox, from another gentleman who was 14 years old, and asked him to hand it over. He did not hand it over, and he shot him. The reporter asked him, you think it's worth it for you to kill that young man for a boombox? And he turned around and said, you have the wrong question. Does he think that his life is worth more than the boombox? Because I asked him for it and he refused and I had to take it. Now, this brings to the question, a man comes into my yard, climbs up my mango tree. No, this is a question everybody asking. He's in my yard, the curtilage of my home, fence wrong, and I see him coming down the tree. And I talked to him. At what point, I didn't see a firearm, only mangoes or whatever. At what point could I use my firearm on him how does the law take care of that type of situation? Because really at that point in time, he's no threat to me. And at some point in time, he may be running away from the situation. So how does the law take care of that situation? The other thing, this is one of the, what we're talking about. For many times I've attended these seminars with the police and we say we're going to change things. Yet still the police drive around with the lights on all through the country. To me, that's alerting the situation. They do not have become the surprise attack anymore. I was in a conference in Bacadé and the police said, oh, we drove up and it's a good thing we had our lights on because we prevented a crime. And I said to them, had the lights been off, you'd have arrested the thieves. The other question is, we patrol the highways day and night with our lights on. When are we going to get undercover cops cars without this fancy thing on it to patrol our highways? We will see the guys driving in and out. We'll see them doing all these different things and we can pull them over. I think it's about time we say we want to do something new, but we're doing the same things over and over with a different result. And finally, we have 18, I think, councils, Princeton Regional Corporation, San Fernando. Why can't we, each of them, carry the number plate on their regional corporation on their car with that regional corporation? For example, I'm in Point 14, but I live in San Fernando, and the police, they are patrolling. It gave me probable cause to pull them over because their license plate at 2 o'clock in the morning is not from that area. And by searching them, they could come up with many things, because I have seen lately, the police have 6 and 7 cars in the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and there are only 1 or 2 cars passing. To me, patrolling is a much better way than stopping 1 or 2 cars 2 o'clock in the morning. Those are my contributions. I thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Glennis Ramkilawan. I'm from Wellington Gardens, right here in the neighborhood. So I am a member of our Wellington Gardens Community Council, and we are taking an initiative in acquiring and installing cameras to secure our neighborhood. I'm not sure if my questions are a pertinent one. Sorry, all protocols observed, and also I would like to thank you all for the initiative that you all have been taking in every step of the way, and for consulting with the community. So we are in the process of acquiring and installing cameras at this point in time. Is there any contingencies, any guidelines, any procedures or policies with respect to cameras and the use of it in prosecuting, or if you want to use persecuting the criminals, to get some justice, the use of those devices such as phones as well, or the recordings, anything like that in the bill? Thank you.
I would be passing the mic to Mr. Allahar shortly. But in response to the last question that was asked, for the benefit of the gentleman and the persons in attendance, the Evidence Act, Chapter 702, allows for the admissibility of CCTV footage. So that is already there, sir. There's absolutely no need to incorporate that in this piece of legislation. As a matter of fact, in several matters which are presently before the courts, the CCTV footage is in fact admissible. I'll now invite Mr. Allahar to answer.
Thank you. Good. Let me see. too big. It's too big. Anyway, let me see if I could understand my own handwriting. Mr. Kanhai, where's Mr. Kanhai? Right. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Kanhai, let me see. So you had asked, first of all, you give us a scenario and you say when should I draw my revolver, right? And you told us that suppose you made the wrong decision and it turned out to be somebody you knew, and you probably wounded the person or something, or you made a mistake. I think that's what I got from it. Yeah. Right. Oh, when can you draw? Okay, well, okay. Hold on. Yep, okay. When can you draw? No, sit down, sir. You can have a seat. That's not a problem. Right? As Senator Roberts said, there's a difference between draw and fire. Okay? Yeah? Right. Now, you give us a very simple situation, and the problem we have with these situations when we are discussing these is that there are a million other factors that come into play. How the people look, what they have, what time of day, where they were. So there's no one certain answer unless the story is filled in a little bit, which is why this law that we propose gives some guidelines. So if you reasonably believe and you honestly believe that your life is threatened, you can use your firearm. What do you mean? So you don't know how to honestly believe it? Yes. No, I don't understand the thing. Yeah. Right? Yes. Right. Yep.
I draw my revolver, all I study
Right.
time to make sure you identify
Okay, right now,
yourself.
okay. You are a firearm user?
No, sir.
Right.
So you come into my premises, so I draw my revolver.
Okay.
It could be law. This could be put
Right.
into law.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
get the point.
Right.
You
Who
look
are
like
you?
you look like you want a firearm license real bad.
No, it have other means of
Okay,
attack.
well, hold on. There's a difference with no. This law is about use of force, not about drawing firearm. It's about use of force. That's what we're concentrating on. Drawing a firearm not going to save your life, Using force may save your life and the life of your loved ones. So it's not about firearm and drawing firearm and thing. It's about using reasonable force. Because you could draw your firearm but get killed. Now this conversation is not only about firearms. So let's not go down the road of firearms, because remember, not everybody has a firearm. Okay? When the night comes, we have to protect ourselves with what we have, whether it's a cutlass, hot oil, hot water, whatever it is, we have to protect ourselves. I don't have a firearm either. Okay? So, Mr. Ramnarayan. So I hope that answers your question. Okay? It doesn't answer your question, but I could take some comfort in the fact that what we're discussing is not about drawing firearm. Because drawing firearm can't save anybody's life. It might look good, but it can't save anybody's life. All right. What? Now you made that important point. If I find you on my property, and I think that's the important point you're trying to get. The fact is that this legislation defines what your dwelling house is. And it goes a little further to tell you it's not only your home, not only the house, but what you call the curtilage. Now, when we were doing consultations, the few that I went to, people didn't understand this word curtilage. Curtilage, there's a big one. Curtilage don't mean defense. Curtilage means the space that is used together with the house as your dwelling or living area. For example, my grandmother had a board house on Union Road in Marabella. She didn't have a fence at the back, but she had the house, and she had a shed outside where you had to cook the meat. You can't bring the meat in the house. That is part of the dwelling, even though it's not inside the house, and that's what we're trying to protect. So if somebody come there, even though it's not in the house, you're protected. You could protect yourself. She also had the outhouse near the end, but around that area was clean, but there was no fence. but we all knew that that area was the area that you dwelt in. So the definition of dwelling house is the area, because not all of us have fences or walls, but know that when you're inside that area, you can defend yourself and the Lord protect you. So I hope that clears that up. Okay. The other thing is, I'm trying to get all the questions. Mr. Ramnarayan, Mr. Ramnarayan, yes, Mr. Ramnarayan, you had complained about the fact that right now it takes a while to go through the court system. Yeah, no, that's okay. No, you're entitled to complain, and you're entitled to complain. I complain too. Right. Hold on, yeah. It is okay to complain because it takes too long, right? And that is why one of our manifesto promises is that we wish to introduce the right of an accused to a fair hearing within a reasonable time. Yes? Reasonable in the circumstances, a reasonable time having regard to the resources of the law enforcement system. You cannot have a cutoff date for trials. Cannot do that because not every investigation is the same. Okay, because hold on. There are some people that we prosecuting for corruption, that we still prosecuting for corruption. If they had a cutoff date, all of them go free. So it's not. You can't measure those things like that. Within a reasonable time. But what we want to do is to have that. So if you are charged for example, you slip through the system and they charge you for protecting yourself, you're not going to be dragged for years in the court. Yes. Okay, that's a matter for the judiciary. Right? But I will take your point. Remember, a long time we used to have, Mr. Alexander knows that, long time when I was a young lawyer, we used to have night courts in Arima. Yeah. It might be time to come back to those days of night courts. But that's something we may have to deal with when we deal with that arm of the state. Somebody spoke, and I didn't get the gentleman's name, about vigilantism and the fact that you have people to do community patrols and that sort of thing, and the cost of it. No, it was not you, it was somebody else. It was the guy. But it was a comment, but we understand the fact that you're saying somebody police and they give out tickets in the morning and in the evening they go and make a cook. Right? Like Mr. Alexander laughing. Yes, but I remember the Honorable Prime Minister had said on the campaign trail, and she said it 2 weeks ago, that we want to take steps to try to work with the police, the new commissioner, to have a return to community policing. Okay? So that's something that we want to do.
Before you go,
sure.
Chairman, before you go, the guy, he asked about after the shooting, they taking possession of your firearms. All right, we have since treated with that through this new regime and the Commissioner of Police. Once there is no discrepancies in your reporting, then an arrangement will be made with you and the Forensic Science Center, where you can, on a particular day, you go to the Forensic Science Center, your firearm should already be IBIS tested. So it's just to verify. So you go for verification. On a day, the notes are made, and the firearm is then handed back to you. So no longer take it long and 3 years and all that. It don't work like that no more.
Thank you, Minister. Now, I want to try to bring us back home. Let's not talk too much about firearms, because this discussion is not about firearms. At the end of the day, you all have to protect yourselves. Okay? So it's not about firearms. But I still need to answer Kiran. Where's Kiran? Kiran is here. Right. Everybody who are trying to find out on that side of it. Okay. So Kiran, you asked what is the government's policy in relation to qualified people with firearms. And all I can tell you is reading, which is now official government policy, is that, I read it, allow for the right to bear arms, modify the current legislation to make acquiring firearms by law-abiding citizens easier. Page 34 of the manifesto. So I hope that answers. Other nights, we'll have to come back to you all with that. So let's continue. But I hope that answers your question. Good. Excellent. The last gentleman, yeah, you gave us a lot to write down, because you give me about 10 scenarios, okay? And what I did was I listened to you carefully, and I tried to extract some of the things which I think we could answer you with to give you some comfort in some of the proposals that we have. The first one is that we propose that the law protects you when you take a heat of the moment decision. So yes, we can talk about reasonable force and proportionate force and that sort of thing. But if the circumstance is such that you have to make a heat of the moment, spur of the moment decision, and you have a bona fide, honest belief that what you are doing is to protect yourself and your family, the law will protect you. In other words, if a man comes into your premises at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the circumstances are such that it is dark, the person is wearing a mask, you don't know who you can't see his face, and you're not accustomed to people coming into your kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning, you may be forgiven at the spur of the moment. Even if you find out that it's your brother-in-law who came because he have a key to your house. But at the spur of the moment, once you had that honest belief, right? That is one. The other one is, and that, the mangoes. Right. So the fella coming down your tree, yes, he not armed, he just have a sack, he thiefing mango. He is not threatening you. And you want to know if you could shoot him or you could do something to him. Okay. Now the law does protect you in protecting your property, but you have to act proportionately. And you see that example you gave is a very good example, right? Pradial Lasney, he is not threatening you. He probably have the bag of mangoes and he thinking of how to go to sell it. And he just want to get away from you. You can use force if your property is threatened, but the force must be proportionate to the threat. You're not going to kill a man for 5 mangoes. Yes? And we have to be very careful, brothers and sisters. Yes, no, hold on. Just hold on. That's the point I'm making. We have to be careful. We all have an instinct to protect our family and our properties. But we have to contain our rage, because we are giving people the ability to protect themselves. Contain your rage, because you will be no better than the bandits coming into your yard. Okay? Thank you very much.
And let me just address. This guy you see from Point and other places, right? And he was at home, and there was someone in the house, and you shot the guy. You see, all this is lessons to be learned, because it means that the family have to go back to the days of communicating with each other. So if I bring somebody home, I mean, my father must know, my mother, all the persons in the house must know that someone is there. So nobody will I would not be surprised, or somebody wouldn't be surprised by seeing someone there. So it's about communicating again, once again. No longer we're not talking to daddy and mommy and everybody in the home, because these legislations allow you to protect your home. But at the same time, one must be responsible. You see, and it's true, because as the Mr. Allahar said, was your life in imminent danger? And I'm sure the answer is no. So now you have to be thinking. You see, we are not going to bring forward this law. It's not a killing field. You see, it's not a killing field. And I want to also say this to members of the public, that it is not will give you a firearm kind of law. You understand what I'm saying? And also, I heard persons ask the question. He said that in the last episode, the news, they had some articles and all of that. Yeah. This is going to be a more stringent type of investigation with respect to the issuing of firearms. And what this government have done, within the couple months, the 3 months that we are here, we have already set up our firearm appeals board. So if persons feel that they are wronged in any way by the commission not issuing the firearm to you, we have an appeal board that you can go to see if you can get your firearms there and then. All that we would have done already in these 3 months. All right? And last but not least, in a couple of days from now, you'll see us. We took a directive to put technology to the firearms situation in the police service. The commissioner will speak to it, I will speak to it as time go by, because we want everything to be in sync with first world status, and we must not be left behind, still living in this third world that the People's National Movement left us in. All right?
I just want to say, ministers, from 2 or 3 of the questions, having a firearm is a very serious responsibility. Part and parcel of getting and having a firearm, you have to go through very stringent training, how to hold it, how to keep it safe, how to keep your children away from it, how to secure it, when to draw it, how to use it, when to use it, how not to get vexed, how not to go in a bar and be drunk and waving your fire. It's not, you're not getting a firearm just so. You're going to have to go through some of the most stringent training and discipline. So you could draw your firearm if you're afraid, but your finger not on the trigger. You're letting them know, please come out my property. I have a firearm. Go outside. Who are you? Please move back. When they go out, you walk away, you ask them, and they show the ID. Is Digicel come to check your thing? Where they put away your firearm and let Digicel come in. It's not a wildness. You will be trained.
Pleasant good night, ladies and gentlemen. First of, my name is Vijay Ramai, and I represent the business community within Oropuch East constituency and to a greater extent Penal Debe. First, I would like to express on behalf of our members our profound gratitude and appreciation for the hard work that our member of parliament have been doing for the last 3 months in an effort to restore the destruction of Keith Rowley and Mr. Stewart Young. You know, our economy is really based on the rents that we gather from oil and gas, and he has a tremendous burden upon his shoulders. And us in Oropuch East will continue to pray, you know, for his well-being so that he can continue to perform at his peak. One of the core purpose of me being here is to say, after perusing that document that Mr. Hariprasad have in front of him, we unanimously support this bill in Oropuch East and to the wider extent Penal Debe. One of the core characteristics of leadership is that of empathy. And this bill that has been piloted by the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa really shows that this leader is endowed with empathy, putting yourself in other people's shoes. And we welcome this bill. We welcome this bill and keep going at it, Minister of Homeland Security. You know, because in the essence of time, I didn't want to acknowledge everybody, but now I'm settling, you know, my respects to everybody, right? One of the things that I am here to really say, and I want to build on Mr. Hariprasad, right, is that there's a thin line between bravery and stupidity. There's a thin line between bravery and stupidity. And in our association, we recommend that we address the gaps in that FUL application process, and we address the gaps pertaining to someone being granted an FUL. I mean, I'm not sure if it's safe to say that I am a holder of a FUL, but trust me, in the range, they call me the Chandan man. You know, when the Barbadans put the Chandan by your forehead, I'm the Chandan man. But I'm just saying it as the FUL. I have a FUL to speak from a more stronger perspective to bring clarity to this FUL license, right? I want to recommend, and we want to recommend, that on a monthly basis, that users of people who have FUL license should go to the range and understand what gun safety is, what gun competency is, and what is the responsibility of having a gun. You know, the minister is a sharpshooter, and he would know that definitely that in discharging a firearm, it's a diminishing skill. If you do not go on the range and practice, you could be looking at Bush, and then we could be shooting at Raymond. So that is an important thing. Apart from having your FUL and being able to protect your territory, right? You know, it is important for us to know how to adequately use a firearm. And we want to endorse and we want to recommend to you, Minister,
that it makes it mandatory that that holders go to the range on a monthly basis. You know, when I got my FUL, what is required of me, apart from my personal responsibility of going and learning how to shoot, right? I was only required to bring my FUL competency certificate once in a year. And I don't think that now that we have so many people going to apply for firearm license, I think that is very, very important that we do that, right? When it comes to this law of protecting your castle, etc., yeah, you know, we as businessmen was always under trepidation. Across the spectrum, we had one end, we had the bandits who was on top of the game. And then us as businessmen on the other end has always been told to retreat and surrender. With this new bill, partner, it had no retreat, no surrender. We're shifting it to taking the fight to you. So, Mr. Minister, we thank you again. The business community endorses this draft recommendation.
Good afternoon, everybody. All protocols observed. My name is Inshan Dubri, Kuchawan Trace Navy. The question I want to ask is that if you have a cutlass under your mattress or in your room, and an intruder comes in, and you use that, is that premeditated? Because, no, I understand the law before. If you have that and you use it, that was premeditated, that you was expecting somebody to come in and to use it. I want a little clarity on that. The next thing is that I hear an increase in fines, an increase in jail time. I read once that Mr. Vernon Dilemma said he was representing a client who's in prison, who get 15 years and 6 strokes. He asked to appeal the case. He said, I could take 20 years, but get his strokes off. He said, what happened is that when you enter prison, you get half of it. And when you're leaving, just before you leave, you get the other half. That is by itself the deterrent. That's what I read Mr. Dilemma, lawyer, said. That if you implement the stroke, the whip, for rape, etc., that by itself is a deterrent. And we have in the statute hanging. We want to prevent crime. We're not hanging nobody. So what we have in the book to? Because I'm not telling you flat, they are hanging nobody again for killing us. I got killed. Because they're getting TV in prison and they're getting food. So and I want to clarity on that, that's why we're not using those laws. The next thing I want to put to the minister here is that I mentioned it before. We have police in the community. They're driving in the community, but the glass up and AC blowing. They're stopping and asking nobody in the block, what's going on, boy? How you going? Anything we could know about? You have to build that trust with the police, but you're only driving through. You see them in the highway park up, glass up, man cutting in and out. But the AC blowing good. They had time for that. I'm sure most of us would have seen the kind of errant drivers and the kind of death we have in the road. What we're doing about these errant police that only remaining in the highway and not, I haven't yet seen a police chase down an errant driver yet. I never see it, whether in motorbike or in car because they're sleeping. Thank you very much.
All protocol observed. My name is Joe Sergio. I work for Dr. Moonilal. I have been playing an active role in this UNC party. Now, I believe strongly in a thing called hanging. When a person commits a crime of that magnitude, meaning he killed someone, we can't waste time. Put that fella in prison and you're feeding him, you're giving him everything. You know, some people are happy to go to jail. Yeah. But you see, all the attorneys talk about reasonability. And I'm so happy that all the attorneys were able to talk a lot about reasonability and proportionality also. Those two things are very important when we are dealing with the criminal system. Reasonability. Who is a reasonable man? That is very important. sir. And then we talk about proportionate law. That if a fella with us, and I am in a bar, and a fella slapped me, but it looked so ordinary slap, but he has damaged my spine. He doesn't know that. And now I went home. I don't have any ammunition like a gun, but I do have cutlass. So what I can do then, I will go for my cutlass and chop him. Right, because my spine bad. And I'm forcing myself to reach there. So I force myself. No, not yet. But I want to tell me then, is that proportionate? If I cut him up, how far can I go? And ladies and gentlemen, I expected these attorneys to talk a little about domestic problems. And in our society today, we have more crime committed husband and wives. And Anil, you have been my friend for a long time. Tell me, you're in the bar with a friend, and he told you, hey boy, I saw your wife with a fella down the road. What is going to happen when he goes home? Right. So he got the answer, Ramdin, right? Now, actually, these things are very serious. Very, very serious. We may be laughing, but domestic problem is a serious thing. And I expected one or two of the attorneys to spend a little time. Now, they did very well in explaining the law of reasonability and being proportionate. That was excellent. And I'm so happy they were able to tell all of us who is a reasonable man, right? So I wanted to hear from you all a little about domestic problems. Okay, sir? Thank you.
Good night. Tali Mohammed, Wellington Gardens, or Puchis, all protocol observed. I have a unique situation. I literally live at this distance away, to the end of the table. So I live in a cul-de-sac. So someone can pull up on that and park there legally on the road, not in my property. But that distance, if somebody were to enter my property, home invasion, and by the time I respond and offer a shot with my user's license, he can literally be out and into his car, almost into his car on the public road. What happens to me then? Thank you. Yeah, so this is...
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
And he's literally outside. He's now on public road on the cul-de-sac to his vehicle. What would happen to me at that time?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anuradha Pagu. I am from Pinal. So I came here today to learn. And I would like to first commend this initiative because I do believe that like-minded individuals with similar backgrounds sometimes have a tendency to think the same way, and bringing the public into the conversation is very important. So I have two questions. So no reasonably thinking individual is concerned about the use of the legislation to defend yourself and your loved ones from an aggressor. But we need to think about the protection of vulnerable parties and persons who may abuse the legislation. So my two issues and two questions that I'd like to bring up is firstly, there is going to be an influx of applications for the FUL, and I apologize for driving the conversation back to that, but I do believe it's a big issue. What is being done to prevent the system from being overwhelmed and even crippled by the bureaucracy of the process? And secondly, this is what I would like to learn a little bit more about, the renewal process for the FUL. and how does it change with the proposed legislation? And on that note, the application process is a snapshot in time. What happens after in this renewal process to ensure that someone in good standing holding an FUL remains in good standing at the renewal process? Thank you.
Hello, a pleasant good afternoon, members of the head table. Members of the head table, pleasant good afternoon, general public. Let me first say that I am happy and I am in support of this legislation. My question to you is, in terms of legal ambiguity, well, we do know that we are going to have some challenges. And in terms of legal ambiguity and what constitutes a threat, what are we going to do in terms of looking at the legislation to actually minimize that issue of the legal ambiguity? What measures or policies even can be put in place to support us, the people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, Robert, you?
Not me. I'm asking on behalf of a citizen who is a little shy. Mr. Allahar, everybody. In the case of a family, if the legal FUL holder is unable to get to the firearm and someone in the house uses the firearm, what's their position and what's their protection?
Okay, thank you. Well, that was actually a question I had. At this time, I just want to indicate that we want to take a few questions from the live audience. And the live audience is now 2,000 persons listening. And I just wanted to put about 5 questions from our live audience, ask our panelists all to respond to the questions and the issues raised earlier. And they can also make their closing remarks because the Superintendent Gibbs has indicated that we need to wind up in a little bit of a program. So a question coming in, and we really want to thank and give our gratitude to those persons who are taking their time to write and send. Question from a viewer. If you are living in a gated community, in a duplex, townhouse, or apartment building, what constitutes my premises to defend myself under stand your ground? Added to that, if I live upstairs or to the back of my business place, how would the law treat with my quote-unquote premises property? And then we have a few more. I will just put it on the table for our panelists to respond. Yeah, and I'll get them now. This is a related question to, I think, Anil Roberts. Good night. If I own a licensed firearm and my neighbor is being robbed at night or under threat, and I lend assistance, and in the interaction, the bandit or the intruder is killed by my licensed firearm, but I'm not on my property, does this law protect me as well? Another, well, we'll have all the responses. But I say this because there's a next tendency here we have to keep in mind. We must respond to what people think, what they are thinking, what is on their mind. Because while we hear this and some of us know concepts and so on, the ordinary person out there still want to know. Because if they have doubt, this is their doubt. If your neighbor has a gun and a bandit comes in the house and I'm crying out for help and the neighbor comes over to help me, I think it's a related question to the first one there. So I won't continue with that. Special thanks to the UNC for standing up on the behalf of good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I think that's a good question. And someone else is asking, does this law mean that persons can put signs on their property suggesting that intruders may be in mortal danger given the laws? It's an interesting dimension. I mean, it may not be what we're thinking, you know, dog here and be careful or something. And an interesting comment is stand your ground the same as vigilante justice. So I just put that on the table. That is what the people, that's it. More? Oh, yes. Somebody else is sending some more? Okay. And Ms. Lewis is also receiving questions. And yes, we actually have the screenshot of the questions. I won't bother to name the person. What factors would determine whether the force I used was considered reasonable or excessive? That's an ongoing issue. I mean, it's a legal issue, but it also must be an issue that people understand. A question again from someone else. Would your car, vehicles, be in this legislation as property or dwelling property? You can respond. That's the questions. Thank you all. Now, I won't be giving any final remarks, so I will ask the panelists when they respond, all will give some responses, and they could make their closing remarks again. Thank you all. God bless you.
All right, let me go first. I heard some statements here about domestic violence, and let me be honest with you, and I want you to be honest with yourselves. If you know you're involved in any domestic situation, I suggest, I ask, I beg, stay away from firearm applications. If you know that you have an issue, whether drug-related or otherwise, I suggest, I ask that you stay away from firearm application. And let me go further. And I like to bring scenarios into things to answer the question. So the person asks, if your daughter is at home and you had an intruder and she take the guns and shoot, while it may not be within the law just yet, there's something called weapon of opportunity, whereby I'm holding on to Dr. Moonilal here, fighting with him. And our son, Mr. Roberts, see what is happening with under the circumstance, reach out and get the gun and shoots the intruder. If he didn't act like that, what would have been the condition of this man? So many times we see it happen. It's a weapon of opportunity. Yeah? The same thing like if you don't have a gun home and someone come and you reach for a knife and you manage to give the person 2 stab. It's a weapon of opportunity under those circumstances. But again, we are asking members of the public, this is not about killing. This is about defending yourself and your property. All right? And let us keep that within our minds, defending ourselves and our property. All right? Yeah, he go on. All right, let me also say this, and I think I need to address this real quick. A lot of persons making a lot of comments about tickets, right? But I want you to remember this, and I will tell you this from experience. We used to do this stop and search form, you know that? We stop a particular car and realize, wait now, use the owner of this car? No. When we check the system, the car was one that we stopped about 2 weeks ago. It was owned by someone else. Something told us to check the system. When we calling, or the number that we saw, the person didn't answer. When we went by the lady's home, she went away. Her house was broken into and the car was stolen. And she didn't have a clue because she was outside at the time. It's the same thing with a ticket, you know. A man could be in the junction right here and doing his job. A police officer's duty is to detect crime. Yeah? Breaches of the law. So if you're out in front and you're doing you're doing your duty, and I might have stopped Mr. Ramdin and give him a ticket. Later on, I hear that a vehicle with his number plate was used in a robbery or a shooting. And I already have some information as to who it may be because I would have Mr. Ramdin's driving permit information and all of this. So be careful what persons laugh at. Until you are a victim of crime, then you'll know how important every bit and piece of evidence that comes to you. It is so important. So don't laugh. Oh, they talk about that's so much a thing, and man, sometimes these little things is enough to get a breakthrough in solving a big thing. Mm. 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 You see, and I'm not making no excuses, so, to be honest, but you know the first thing we have to start to do in this country? Obey the laws. And once we start obeying the laws, things will trickle down and trickle down. We must start somewhere, you know. A man is smoking cigarette on the street and then throw the butt away right there. There are certain countries you cannot do it. And when they go, they are not doing it. But when they're here, they continue to do it. Let us start somewhere. It must be a zero tolerance in our approach at all times. That's the only how we can get back that level of discipline and respect for authority.
Good night. I just want to make one point. Mr. Sergio asked a very, very important question about domestic violence, and that is a real and live scenario and a very important situation. In my speech and introduction, I mentioned clause 10 that provides for certain exceptions, and I think a lot of the questions that are being asked requires me to just take you through clause 10 very briefly. You cannot claim self-defense or defense of property under this law if you are using force against someone who had a right to be in that property. So that is very important, and it treats with the issue of domestic violence. But I just want to go one step further to say, in Trinidad and Tobago, we do have a Domestic Violence Act that regulates a lot of the issues that would arise with domestic violence, such as protection orders and what some of you may commonly refer to as a restraining order. But as it relates to this act, this proposed piece of legislation, you cannot use force against someone who had a right to be in that property, such as your wife or cohabitant or husband, because that person equally has the right to be there. So the stand your ground defense will not apply in a situation like that. The stand your ground defense also will not apply if the force you are using against someone is clearly excessive and disproportionate in the situation and circumstances. You cannot use the stand your ground defense if you are doing or in the act of doing something that is illegal, or you're using your home for some sort of illegal or criminal activity. You cannot use the stand your ground defense against a police officer or law enforcement officer who was lawfully entering. And again, lawful entry, that is a whole conversation in itself. But the long story short of it is that the stand your ground legislation or proposed legislation does not allow for vigilante style justice. It is against that. There must be reasonableness and proportionality. But I thought the issue of the domestic violence was a very important question to address. And a lot of people raise the issue of hanging. Hanging is still in our law books, but there are certain procedural safeguards before we could actually enforce that. Thank you.
Good. Let me just very quickly wrap up my part of the contribution. I wouldn't want any one of us to leave here tonight with something unanswered. So that's why I'm taking copious notes. And let me do my best to try and deal with the other issues. Okay, the good gentleman in blue, you spoke about the cutlass under the mattress. Okay, and I hear where you're coming from. Because my father is 88 years old and he always sleeps with a cutlass under his bed. And he's a left-hander, so he could always pull it out like that. And I understand you when you said, would it be premeditated? Because your worry is that you might be prosecuted for premeditated murder. Okay? My answer to you is to give you some comfort in the proposals, in that these proposals are to protect you if you use your cutlass to protect yourself, your property, your life. If you pull it out from under your bed in circumstances where you reasonably believe that your life is threatened or your property is threatened or your family is threatened. In other words, nothing wrong with having a cutlass under your bed. Yes? And using the cutlass. Yes? No. No, okay, let's stay away, just out. Stay away from premeditated. Let's forget that. Okay? That's a legal concept. What I'm saying is under this law, there are no premeditated because you're actually protecting yourself. And if you act reasonably and with a bona fide belief that the person who had over you while you're sleeping is a bandit, it will protect you. Okay, good. So I understand it. So I want to give you that comfort in the proposal. Secondly, Mr. Sergio, your question was, how far can I go? You're talking about the rum shop. This law don't protect you if you buy the rum shop. This is only about your dwelling house and curtilages. I want to make that point. So thank you for making that example. Thank you for making that example so we can bring the point home. Okay, the other one is a young lady had spoken about protection from abuse. Well, we have the view that we have very adequate safeguards, which we spoke about. Ganesh spoke about them all evening. So you would see them. I invite you to read the bill, and you will see some of the safeguards and exceptions that we have in there. In other words, not a free-for-all, as Minister Alexander said, and I agree with him. There are two areas as well that I want to deal with before I wrap up, because I've been to a few consultations, and we want to get your views on them, because they come out all the time. And the first one has to do with this whole thing about where does your home end and where does the road start? Because we've put a working definition in here, but as I said, it's a work in progress. A fella in, last night, a fella in Labre gave me an example. He said, I am coming home and I have to open my gate. I'm not actually inside the gate yet, but I'm opening the gate from the outside and I'm attacked. Will this law protect me? Tonight, somebody spoke about a gated community. Who is it? Somebody spoke about, in other words, a common area, online, a common area. So thank you very much for those concerns, because we may have to look at incorporating that sort of thing in it as well, because we know that Minister Alexander will tell you that one of the main ports of call, or one of the where you're most vulnerable is when you come out to open your gate and you're on the road. So those are things we'll take on board, and that's why we want to have these consultations. The other one is, we all know in our culture, we operate our business from our home. Some of us. I grew up in a house where they operated the business from the front room because it had access to the gallery. But we never knew where the business ended and where the house began. You might have a parlor at the front of your home, that sort of thing. We know the bandits come because you have a business, and the business might be in your home. So we hear you, we hear the concerns you have as to where your business ends and your home begins, because culturally a lot of us have businesses in our homes, and we're taking those comments on board, because I understand it came out again tonight. So we're taking those comments on board. Lastly, and to end it off this way, and I'll end it off on this note, somebody spoke about signs. Now, there's no law that tells you what sign you could have and what sign you can't have. No trespass in accordance with law, chapter, whatever, you just see it over the place. Nobody is bothered with it. Beware of the dogs, whatever. Enter at your own risk. You could put that. Nothing is wrong with that. You could put anything you want. You could say, I will kill you if you enter my home. Nothing is wrong with putting something like that on your home. I'm not encouraging it. I'm saying there's no law against it. But again, let me say that when we give you the legal protection to protect yourself, we also give you the responsibility to try to create a safer, kinder, gentler society. So be very careful with the messages that you put in your neighborhoods, because it has an effect on children and others in terms of levels of violence. The same violence that we are trying to protect people from, you should not be accused of promoting that violence yourself with the messages that you put up on signs. So thank you very much.
I want to start my closing comments by thanking Dr. Moonilal as the MP for Ropuchis for arranging this consultation with the members of his constituency. And it's very easy for us to take simple things for granted. We are in a state of emergency right now, and the Minister of Homeland Security has found this consultation to be important enough for him to take time out of a state of emergency to be here with us today to speak to the citizens of this country. And I was sitting here, and it's a real contrast. I don't know if even Dr. Moonilal would have considered, when was the last time a Minister of Homeland Security or National Security found himself beyond the Caroni, down in Debi. And when last was it that a government had ministers, senators that took the time to care enough to come to a meeting such as this, to care and meet and hear the concerns of the people of these communities? It is a real welcome change in the governance of this country. And while we've heard it time and time again, the purpose of this legislation, we must not forget, is to provide you with a form of protection. It is not an opportunity for you to take the law into your own hands and take advantage of a situation. Over and over, we've heard tonight, when I could draw, when I could pull my trigger. This is not legislation that gives you a license to kill. It is legislation that gives you an opportunity to defend and to protect yourselves. And there comes a great responsibility when legislation like this is passed on anyone who is confronted with a situation where it requires the use of force. The other thing I want to suggest, Dr. Moonilal, is that this is the start of a conversation with the people and with the country. And as material comes available to us, the same document that the chair of the proceedings referred to, the Law Reform Commission report, is important legislation that educates the public about how the legislation is supposed to work. And it will be very useful for us to put that material up on your website so that people can access it easily and be able to educate themselves. I'm very heartened by the amount of people that have come out here this afternoon and tonight that find it important to take of your time to come here and to hear from us and to communicate with us so that the government will understand what your concerns are. And the last thing that I want to say is this: we will always find fault with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We will always find things that we can complain about. We will always find things that can be done better. But the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is what stands between us and the criminal element. And we, no matter what their faults are, we must support. We have a new commissioner of police. We have 2 new ministries that have been created to protect the people of this country. And we must give them the full support. Confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and giving information to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is what will help us fight crime. And we must trust them, and we must ask them to trust us. And I am sure that we are in very good hands with Minister Alexander, and the new Commissioner of Police. So good night, thank you very much, and may everybody reach home safely.
And coming from my end, let me share this with you. The Commissioner of Police and I, we intend, and he made a commitment very earlier, and this is one of the things that I find very heartfelt, because his commitment was to ensure that there's a level of safety and security for all citizens that we never saw before. And I must support that, because that is his intention. It is difficult for me as the Homeland Security Minister, because the police service was under-resourced, the fire service, the prison service, and we just have to go now and fix all these things. When I should be concentrating just on crime, you know, you jump into something and you want to start with crime one time, but it's so difficult. In order to have these things, in order to treat with crime, you must have these places resourced. And it was left behind for so much years. And now I have to find ways to fix it, because the Honorable Prime Minister said that no matter what we meet on our arrival, we will fix it. And that is what I am doing. So within the next couple of weeks, you will see a number of initiatives coming forward. Everybody asking for crime plan. Don't talk crime plan with me. You will see the results. Have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a stage where we are coming to a close of this event, recognizing the time. But before I move to closing this event, for the benefit of our online viewers, we want them to know whether or not you all are in support of this legislation. So can I have, I want to operate like the Speaker of the House here. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me start with thanking Mr. Allahar firstly. The reason being, no disrespect, sir, I am not going in order of seniority here, but the reason being he took time out to attend to 2 of these consultations this afternoon. I know it was a great effort on his part. Dr. Moonilal, I, being who I am, have attended various events at this office. Notwithstanding that, I want to say very openly, it was indeed a pleasure. It was indeed a pleasure being here tonight to be part of this group endorsing that draft legislation at this stage. It was indeed, I say thank you, sir. My butt share. Mr. Alexander, I have to say, and I have to join Mr. Ramdin. I have to join Mr. Ramdin in commenting. Mr. Ramdin, I ain't piggybacking, bro, but I have to join you in commenting that we can't say when last. Say when, except when a particular man went and fall down somewhere in Penal in a fire station. But we can't say when last the Minister of Homeland Security, them days were not sex, so be it. But we can't say when last a Minister of Homeland Security came south and sat in an office for hours and took part in an event of this nature. Let me say thanks to my good friend there, he himself. I know the poor boy worked straight up till 4 this evening, no? Yeah, straight up till 4. And from and from Freedom Law straight down to DB. Thank you, sir. I would want to say thanks to the members of Dr. Moonilal's staffing here at the office of the Orpuchis. I want to say thank you all, thank you all, thank you all. Without your efforts, this event might not have been possible. Up until late this afternoon, Sherman messaged me and said, Mr. Prasad, everything okay? You're going to be there, blah, 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 blah. You understand? And without the staff here, I mean, I have been interacting with the staff continuously. Without the staff, nothing can be practicable. I say thanks to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, in the absence of your presence here, in the absence of your presence here, my apologies. Senator Roberts, I thank you for attending, sir. At an earlier time, I saw Mr. Subhash Pandey was around. Is he still around within our midst? Okay, I had acknowledged his presence earlier on, but apparently he isn't around now, right? I would want to acknowledge Ms. Nairia Alfonso, and thank you for your attendance here. I would also, I know Mr. Vijay Ramai has spoken, but he being a prominent member of the UNC team, or Puchis, I want to say thanks to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I started saying, in the absence of your presence here, in the absence of you confirming to us, we are here, we have an interest in what is taking place. I want to thank you for showing, not just for appearing, not just your appearance here, but showing the interest that you have shown in guiding us and taking your time to make your comments that would enable the drafters of this legislation to bring about the relevant amendments. I said at the start of this meeting, this document may not be perfect, but it is a perfect start. But upon completion of inclusion of the recommendations made and passage through both houses, ladies and gentlemen, I say, with the guidance of the Honorable Leader, the Honorable Prime Minister, and her members of Parliament, we are going to have a perfect piece of legislation. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want to say thanks to each one of you all and God's guidance to your homes, please. Have a good night.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey. The most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
You're tuned to WZYE, the heartbeat of unfiltered truth. We're more than a station, we're a movement, grounded in facts, driven by integrity, committed to progress. We don't chase headlines, we create them. Decoding politics and current affairs to question power, not cozy up to it. From Laventille to Scarborough, whether you're in your living room or your commute, this is where perspectives collide. Divides dissolve, and tomorrow's conversations start today. WZYE. We originate, not imitate.
And of course, let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with you still. We are still here with you, live and direct. Tommy, welcome. Tommy, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. A pleasure to be here. It was quite an evening listening to what transpired at that meeting.
Yeah, correct is right, man. You know, we are happy to see that the public is getting involved. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
As someone said, when is the last time you see a minister in that part of the country, man? You know? Minister
True.
of National Security. Yeah?
Yep. Homeland Security now.
Yeah, Minister of Homeland Security. Correct is right, you know. But Tommy, I'm happy that we had that little thing. It gives me time to do a little something here, right? So folks, first of all, right? Let me play this for you all, right? You all know we play this all the time. Listen to this, right? Listen to this. Tommy, I want them to listen to this, right? Then we're going to play something else after this.
That the PNM has found itself in, as the gentleman would have said rightly. Dr. Eric Williams, many years ago, said that every single member of the PNM is a propagandist of the PNM. And one of the first things I will do as your new chairman is to ensure that the propagandists of the PNM must be deployed on every nook and every cranny of this country. And we will chase them away on social media, and that the gospel of the PNM must be known to every single citizen of this country.
Now, Tommy, you heard that, right? And you know what is disappointing, Tommy? Is when you call yourself a Bible pumping pastor or a Bible pumping Christian, and you consistently lie to the public, Tommy, what do you call that? What do you call those people?
Deceit.
Is there a name? Deceitful?
Yes,
Disingenuous?
that too.
So listen to this. I want you all to listen to this. Listen to this, Tommy. Listen to this.
Anything on that? No questions? Every day is a murder in this Trinidad and Tobago. Bodies just turning up all over the place.
Who's the murder told?
Huh?
Who's the murder told?
According to them, they say it's 234, but I have been told by an officer that it's over 300. But they're hiding because every day they get 2 and 3 murders.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But look at that. I was told it was 300 and something. According to a particular friend of mine, who you know very well as well.
I'm going to stop it there and come back. You hear what he said, right? 481. So, Tommy, as you know what we always do, we like to go to the
Fact check.
source. Fact check, correctly, correct, fact check. And I send message to all kind of people. Hey, you know, what is the rate? Tommy, I even Google it and I come up with a number, but the same people give me the number from July 13th, which I think was 208. I say, you know what, boy? I really want to go with that number. And Tommy, as I was sitting here listening to the Stand Your Ground thing they had there in Oropuch, somebody sent me a news story. A news story. But let me give it to you guys again. So let me start from the beginning. I've played all the way through now.
Anything on that? No questions? Every day is a murder in this Trinidad and Tobago. Bodies just turning up all over the place.
Was the murder told?
Huh?
Was the murder told?
According to them, saying it's 234, but I have been told by an officer that it's over 300. But they're hiding because every day they get 2 and 3 murders.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But look at that. I was told it was 300 and something. According to a particular friend of mine, who you know very well as well.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But they're hiding that. What you can do? If you look at Crime Watch, which I
No, pasta with the internet search engine name. According to the TTPS, between January 1st and August 4th, 2025 police recorded 231 murders, not 481. Again, the pasta with the internet search engine name caught trying to mislead the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Between January 1st and August 4th this year, police recorded 231 murders. That's 14.8% fewer than 2020, nearly 30% lower than 2022, over 32% down from 2023, and a 35.5% drop compared to the same time last year. And based on information provided to CNC3 News from Top Cop Alistair Guevara, the only recent year with fewer murders during this period was 2021, when COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions were in full effect. His comments follow a recent spate of fatal shootings. Guevara says while the latest state of emergency was not meant to target homicides, the increased police presence and operations on the ground appeared to be having a positive impact on violent crimes.
Tommy, why is it, Tommy, that they are consistent in their lying behaviors?
Well, as Marvelous Marvin said, he has deployed his propagandists in every nook and cranny.
But Tommy, you're a pastor, Tommy.
Pastor.
Yeah, but you ain't supposed to at least try to tell people the truth. You just spaghetti theory. You just throwing something up on the wall and see what was.
Is propaganda supposed to be truthful?
Well, according to the engine fire in here, it's supposed to be according to P&M Fox, the engine fire, it's supposed to be truthful.
If you look up the definition.
Did you all hear that? Nah, let me play that again, Tommy. You know what? I want to play that from YouTube. I'm playing that from I want to play it from YouTube so I could pause it. I want to play it. Let me go to YouTube first. I'll play it from YouTube so I could pause it. Yeah, I want to pause it. Let me just refresh this here, folks. The fella, Tommy, he did Tommy is increased by over 100%. You know. You are aware of that, right?
That's sad.
Over 100%. And that's sad. It's sad.
That's propaganda, mama.
Go ahead.
That's propaganda, mama and papa.
All of them. So if you like P&M Fox and Patty Reed and Gordon Dryden and Banmina, and you know, because Gordon Dryden, Joseph say he does depend on them fellas and them to get his information. That's what he stated. He does listen to Dominic Domain. He has listened to Mr. Bingo and them fellas and them to get his information. That's what he told us. He told us that. Right? And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have it. That one of the main PNM activists coming to us and lying to us, boldface, increasing it by over 100%, and sit there with a straight face and telling people this. Let me take a listen again, folks. I wanted to play it from YouTube. Hold on, let me take this call. Oh, you know what? My phone and do not disturb. Sorry, folks. I was saying on here doing that, so I had my phone on do not disturb. All right, call back. I had my phone on do not disturb. KFC, welcome. KFC. KFC. What's happening, man?
No audio.
Yeah. We had to do that.
No audio, Wall Street.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said they're not hearing KFC.
That's what I'm saying. No
Huh?
audio whatsoever. I'm not hearing any audio at all from KFC.
Okay, hold up. Audio. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but we have audio here. USB 2 audio codec. Hold on. We hearing again the audio here. 1 minute. USB 2 audio codec. Yeah. And the other one is USB sound device. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you wasn't hearing the audio from KFC. Okay.
Till now
All
we
right.
haven't heard.
Huh? But you hearing me though?
Claro.
Okay, all right. Let me see something. Let me see if you're hearing this one. Mr. Ruka. Mr. Ruka. Well, hello?
No audio.
No, you ain't talking yet. Yeah, go ahead. Good night. Yeah, you hearing you? Yeah.
You hearing him, but we're not hearing him.
You not hearing him?
No.
All right. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Ruka. Hold on to me. Go ahead, Mr. Ruka. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
No audio.
Yeah. Correct.
We can't hear the caller at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct is right.
And Slim, it's only you alone hearing. Nobody else is hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, caller. Yeah. Tommy, I don't know what to tell you because everything is let me see. No audio from the caller. Yeah.
None whatsoever.
So audio codec, 2 USB audio codec. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. That's okay. Speakers is USB sound device. 2 USB sound device. What this? Let me see. 2 USB song device. Well, we only have a few minutes left, so 2 USB song device. Yeah. 2 USB song device. Let me try this one here and see. Hold on, I'll try that one there and see if that. I will see if that one work. I changed something here. Speaker, 2 USB song device. Microphone, 2 USB audio. All right. 2 USB audio codec. Microphone, 2 USB audio codec. Yeah, let me see if this working now. Yeah, Mr. Florida, are you hearing me? Yeah, Mr. Florida, are you hearing me? Tommy, you hearing him?
Nope.
You not hearing him?
Nope.
Well, all right. I gotta try and fix that. I don't know what it is. All right, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, Bisram. Okay. Audio. I testing my mic and it's seeing. Yeah, no audio, no audio.
Somebody's calling on my phone. Let's see if I get it.
Let them call on your
Let's
phone.
see.
Hi, good night, Mr. What's your Uncle Tommy?
Yes, KFC, I can hear you. What's can you hear him?
Yeah, I'm hearing him.
I watch it phone. You hear watch it, but the public ain't hearing me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, KFC. You're live.
Yeah. I was taken to that evil big belly. Pastor, you don't know to watch church. He started the ground thing with it. And he said he moderate. It's 480 something.
Yeah.
It's sort of maybe misleading the people and them. The public get me out of a good program like this program. Ground report and other person among them tell them lie. And they're saying the black people like Philip Alexander, Point 14, and Labrie, and all them places and them who going to vote for the PNM, them is paying up and see the UNT suffering black poor people, and them is saying nothing. So when I was for the last 9 years and victim, I think people is left, right, and center. They come out and fighting off for European protect. Could they should structure anything and then put back in place? They should before the year done it. People in the bottom, they'll get back, they'll work. So I was trying to time is short and gotta fix up the phone and turn to the me again, man. Let's start the program here.
Good KFC. Thanks, KFC.
Yeah, I just went out and come back in, Tommy, to see if that will work. So folks, I just went out and come back in. Yeah, Tommy. So let's continue just to play this, Tommy, for people to understand the heights of deceitful and kind of wickedness that the PNM government allowed to happen. Right? Let's play this. Let's play this. Take a listen, folks.
Anything on that? No questions? Every day is a murder in this Trinidad and Tobago. Bodies just turning up all over the place.
Was the murder told?
Huh?
Was the murder told?
According to them, the saying is 234, but I have been told by an officer that it's over 300. But they're hiding because every day they get 2 and 3 murders.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But look at that. It was 300 and something. According to a particular friend of mine, who you know very well as well.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But they're hiding that. What you can do? If you look.
Yeah, Mr. Florida, you hearing me? Tommy, you hearing Mr. Florida?
No.
Tommy?
No, I'm not hearing him. No, I'm not hearing him.
Yeah, man, I will fix it. Don't worry. Yeah, man. Bless. Okay. I gotta fix it. I know what's going on there. Let me try this. Anyway, we just have a few minutes left. Good, folks, put your closing comments in the chat. Put your closing comments in the chat and send your closing voice notes. Put your closing comments in the chat and send your closing voice notes, because here we have communications to your audio codec, speakers to USB audio sound. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what it is. All right. So anyway, let's finish playing this real quick. Let's finish this. If you're gonna call Tommy phone.
If you look at Crime Watch, which I
No, pasta with the internet search engine name. According to the TTPS, between January 1st and August 4th, 2025 police reported 231 murders, not 481. Again, the pasta with the internet search engine name caught trying to mislead the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Between January 1st and August 4th this year, police recorded 231 murders. That's 14.8% fewer than 2020, nearly 30% lower than 2022, over 32% down from 2023, and a 35.5% drop compared to the same time last year. And based on information provided to CNC3 News from Top Cop Alistair Guevaro, the only recent year with fewer murders during this period was 2021, when COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions were in full effect. His comments follow a recent spate of fatal shootings. Guevaro says while the latest state of emergency was homicides, the increased police presence and operations on the ground appear to be having a positive impact on violent crimes.
For anyone with high blood sugar, I can hear you.
problem.
He can hear you too.
Oh, but yeah, what I was saying is that that fellow, where you call him pastor, that is not a pastor. That is a demon. Because you can't be a pastor. What church he preaching? He a criminal in the church. That is, the devil will be killing all the next 400 or 500 people. You are a pastor and talking that kind of thing in the media, that kind of bad news. You are a pastor, but you that demon boy. Have a good night, fellas.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. PNM Fox. You see how we put that video together with facts, not fiction? You all the past video together too now. Put something together and show we lying now. Put something together and show we lying. Yeah? You see, because you all don't like when people take words that you use. Here we go.
That the PNM has found itself in, as the gentleman would have said rightly. Dr. Eric Williams, many years ago, said that every single member of the PNM is a propagandist of the PNM. And one of the first things I will do as your new chairman is to ensure that the propagandists of the PNM must be deployed on every nook and every cranny of this country. And we will chase them away on social media, and that the gospel of the PNM must be known to every single.
Anything on that? No questions? Every day is a murder in this Trinidad and Tobago. Bodies just turning up all over the place.
Was the murder told?
Huh?
Was the murder told?
According to them, saying it's 234, but I have been told by an officer that it's over 300. But they're hiding because every day they get 2 and 3 murders.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But look at that. I was told it was 300 and something. According to a particular friend of mine, who you know very well as well.
I'm hearing it's 481.
But they're hiding that. What you can do? If you look at Crime Watch, which I
No, pasta with the internet search engine name. According to the TTPS, between January 1st and August 4th, 2025 police recorded 231 murders, not 481. Again, the pasta with the internet search engine name caught trying to mislead the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Between January 1st and August 4th this year, police recorded 231 murders. That's 14.8% fewer than 2020, nearly 30% lower than 2022, over 32% down from 2023, and a 35.5% drop compared to the same time last year. And based on information provided to CNC3 News from Top Cop Alistair Guevara, the only recent year with fewer murders during this period was 2021, when COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions were in full effect. His comments follow a recent spate of fatal shootings. Guevara says while the latest state of emergency was not meant to target homicides, the increased police presence and operations on the ground appear to be having a positive impact on violent crimes.
So there you have it, folks. Short, but as we see, there continue to be misleading information put out in the public sphere, and we cannot sit idly by and allow that information to just sit there. Look, listen to this one. The P&M Fox at Wall Street, UNC campaign on food prices. Hi, did food prices go down since the UNC in office? Yeah? You hear that, Tony?
He
UNC
needs to
campaign
tell
on
us.
food prices. In 3 months, that P&M want food prices to reduce. Man, you know what? You should have a special virus to increase food prices just for P&M people. Yeah, Tommy. Just for increase it just for P&M people like P&M Fox and them. Yeah. But you see, the good thing is when UNC win P&M Fox, even though you are P&M, you go win too. Yeah, you go win. What you have to say about? Go ahead.
UNC ain't even do a budget yet.
Yeah. You want to know how much job they created so far?
They were supposed to create the jobs the day before the election.
Yeah. He wanted before the election. He want jobs already. You understand? Just like it have 481 murders. It have 481 murders. You understand?
Yeah.
We in August. So he trying to get it past 624 or 623, over the numbers. You understand? And by trying to see how we could try to make the government look bad, he looking bad. Yeah? And nothing from P&M Fox, boy.
Anyway, it's top of the hour.
Yeah, folks, we're gonna take that break. We'll be right back. Stick and stay. It's In the Village with Uncle Tommy, Professor Washington. It was a short one tonight, but we give all of that little one day with the pastor with the internet search engine.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
You know, Tommy, it's interesting, that, in this studio, I don't really touch anything until I come back to the studio. And all of a sudden, for something not to be working. But I guess that's the way it is. It's technology, right?
That's the way it is. Because I have something that's not working every day. I had to attend to it.
Yeah.
But there's a voice note. Let me play this voice note. Let's see.
I'm thinking, is it that we may end up hearing that the government has to go into heritage and stabilization fund? I don't know. It's just something that just dropped in my spirit. Something that just dropped on me, just thinking out loud.
So this guy's giving me voice notes now.
It's like people used to call a radio station and talk about poor people in Chumatak. Chumatak, no more poor people are here. So Kak, still have people who can see back? Hello, good evening.
That guy call and leave me that voice note.
All right. Okay. All right. Tommy, it's not no poor people in Chumakak. If you ask him what Chumakak is, he don't even know. He don't even know what Chumakak is. Tommy, give your closing quote, eh? That fella don't even know what Chumakak is. But you want to talk about Chumakak. Go ahead, Tommy.
My first statement is a Japanese proverb. It says, "A frog in the well knows not the ocean." Again, a Japanese proverb says, "A frog in the well knows not the ocean." Like I always say, you, the man in the mirror, you have to become that change that you want to see. However, if you look in that mirror and you don't like what you see, you cannot blame the mirror. Never look down on a person unless you're giving them a hand up. Love you all. Be safe. Be cool. We'll see you on Thursday, God willing. Till then, good night.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So I'm going to give two tonight by Martin Luther King. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by good people. And the second one, which is the most important, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall, so that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent. When talent does not work hard, and for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. Let me go to the to my phone, see what's in here. Donna Alexander says, simple rules to live by. If it's not yours, it's not yours. If it's not yours, don't take it. If it's not true, don't say it. If it's not right, don't do it. Good night, sweet dreams. That's Donna Alexander. All right. Guys are won by him. Okay. That's what I have on my phone there. Let me go to the chat now, see what we have in the chat. Closing comments. Leonard Cumberbatch says, lovely show tonight. Good night, villagers. We see you again on Thursday. Miss Santa Cruz said, till Thursday, God willing, stay safe, stay blessed, stay dry and hydrated. Yeah. Correct is right. Miss Santa Cruz closing comment. No need for revenge because the person they are is already enough punishment unknown. Yeah. Mr. Intellectual says, when people who have ears but cannot hear, eyes but cannot see. Roger says the fake pastor in the well. You are not, you is. I don't know what that means. Batman closing comments. Life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. Okay. Property tax can only buy rum, but not groceries. I don't know that way. Caribbean Soul closing comment. A cat that dreams of becoming a lion must lose its appetite for rats. That's a good one. Yeah.
A good one.
Listen to this. Wall Street Kamala campaign on civil servants getting minimum 10% salary increase. What happened so far? You know what? Take 3 months. In 3 months, Tommy. Yeah? Them fellas want everything to happen.
The thing is that they even get to do a budget yet.
That's what I'm saying. No budget yet. But in 3 months, you want everything to happen. Yeah? Vindra says, Joshua 1:9, this is my comment. Be strong and encourage. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you where you go. Good night, everyone. Be safe. Thank you, Vindra. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Let me see if I have any other closing comments here. All right. Here we have it, folks. That's it. We see you on Thursday. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. We are out of here. Later. Bye-bye.
When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day,